You've been manifesting wrong. Apparently, the problem was that you were awake while doing it. A mid-20th century mystic figured out that the real secret to getting everything you want is taking a nap. And millions of people decided that was the most logical thing they'd ever heard. Neville Goddard, a man from Barbados, who moved to New York and became one of the most influential metaphysical teachers of the last century, had a very specific instruction. Don't just visualize your goals. Don't just repeat affirmations in front of your bathroom mirror like a desperate motivational poster. Go to bed. Close your eyes, and as you drift off, live inside the feeling of already having what you want. That's it. That's the technique that launched 1,000 YouTube channels. The reasoning, to his credit, has a certain elegance. During the day, your conscious mind is a skeptic, a bouncer at the door of your own beliefs. You tell yourself you're wealthy, and somewhere behind your eyes, a little voice says, "Check your bank account." You tell yourself you're confident, and the voice pulls up a highlight reel of every awkward thing you've done since middle school. The conscious mind is by design a fact checker, and fact checkers are terrible at manifesting. But there's a window, a sliver of time between waking and sleeping where the bouncer steps away from the door. The hypnagogic state. That drowsy, half-lucid zone where your thoughts start melting into images and your grip on logic loosens like a hand releasing a rope. Goddard believed this was the moment your subconscious mind was most exposed, most willing to accept a suggestion without cross-referencing it against reality. So, you lie in bed, construct a short scene that implies your wish is already fulfilled, and loop it, over and over. Feel the handshake of the business partner, feel the weight of the keys to the new house. Feel the ring on your finger, keep looping until the scene feels more real than the mattress beneath you. Then fall asleep inside it. The subconscious, Goddard taught, would accept the scene as fact and begin rearranging your outer world to match. The modern manifesting community grabbed this idea and ran with it like someone shoplifting a flat-screen TV. Sleep techniques became an entire genre. Guided meditations, subliminal audio tracks, ASMR whisper sessions where someone murmurs about your future penthouse while you drift off on a twin bed in your parents' house. The gap between the instruction and the execution became its own kind of comedy. But strip away the crystals and the affiliate links and the $37 courses, and Goddard's original point touches something that even skeptics find hard to dismiss entirely. The hypnagogic state is real. Sleep researchers have studied it for decades. It's the zone where your brain transitions from beta waves, alert, analytical, guarded, to theta waves, the frequency associated with deep relaxation, creativity, and suggestibility. Hypnotherapists have built entire careers on accessing a similar state. The difference is that Goddard said you could do it yourself, every night, for free. That last part is probably why it took so long for anyone to monetize it properly. The mechanism Goddard described maps loosely onto what modern psychology calls autosuggestion. Give yourself a directive while your critical faculty is dimmed, and the subconscious processes it differently than it would during full waking consciousness. Thomas Edison used to fall asleep holding steel balls over metal plates. When the balls dropped and woke him, he'd capture whatever ideas had surfaced in that twilight zone. Salvador Dali did something similar with a key and a tin plate. They weren't manifesting luxury apartments, they were mining the hypnagogic state for creative output. Goddard took the same doorway and walked it toward a different room entirely. His claim was bolder than Edison's or Dali's. He argued that the subconscious mind shapes physical reality, that the feeling of the wish fulfilled, accepted deeply enough during sleep, would produce corresponding events in the waking world, through what he called the bridge of incidents, a chain of seemingly coincidental events that delivers the desired outcome. You don't need to know how. You don't need to plan. You need to sleep correctly, which is, if you think about it, the most appealing self-help advice ever invented. The action step is literally unconsciousness. Every other system asks you to wake up earlier, work harder, journal more, meditate longer, cold plunge until your organs file a complaint. Goddard asks you to go to bed. With intention, the productivity bros must have hated him. The interesting tension in his work is that he was dead serious. This was theology for Goddard. He interpreted the Bible as a psychological drama, with every character and event representing states of consciousness. God was your own imagination. Prayer was the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Faith was sustained assumption. He built an entire cosmology around the idea that consciousness is the only reality, and everything else is its shadow. Sleeping in the wish fulfilled was the cornerstone because it bypassed the one thing standing between you and your desire, your own disbelief. And here's where it gets genuinely interesting. Regardless of where you land on the metaphysical spectrum, the placebo effect is one of the most documented phenomena in medicine. Give someone a sugar pill and tell them it's a painkiller, and measurable physiological changes occur. Their body responds to the belief. Now extend that principle. If you spend every night marinating your subconscious in the feeling of a specific reality, your daytime behavior starts shifting in ways you might barely notice. You carry yourself differently. You make different choices. You notice opportunities you would have scrolled past. The bridge of incidents starts looking less like magic and more like a self-fulfilling prophecy with extra steps. Goddard would have rejected that explanation entirely. He'd say you're reducing the infinite creative power of imagination to mere psychology. But the fact that both his framework and the psychological one produce the same prediction, that sustained, emotionally vivid assumption, leads to changed outcomes, is what makes his work survive in an age that should have buried it. The modern manifesting community, of course, has done its best to bury it anyway, under layers of aesthetic branding, under 369 methods and whisper methods and scripting techniques that Goddard never taught and probably would have found baffling. His original instruction was almost aggressively simple. Pick a scene, feel it real, fall asleep, repeat until the world catches up. The simplicity is the point. And the simplicity is exactly what makes it unsellable, which is why every manifesting coach adds 17 extra steps and a paid community. The real question nobody in these communities wants to sit with is this: what if it works, but only in the boring way? What if sleeping in the wish fulfilled is genuinely effective because it programs your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters what you notice, to spot relevant opportunities? What if the magic is that you finally gave yourself permission to want something specific and your behavior aligned accordingly? That's still a powerful tool. That's still worth doing, but it sells fewer courses than your imagination literally creates reality. Goddard died in 1972. He left behind hundreds of lectures, most of them recorded on equipment that makes them sound like transmissions from a submarine. His audience was small during his lifetime. A few hundred people in a lecture hall in Los Angeles listening to a man from Barbados quote William Blake and the Book of Isaiah in the same sentence. He charged little, sometimes nothing. He told people to test it for themselves and report back. 50 years later, his ideas have more reach than he could have imagined. Which is ironic, because he would have said that's exactly how imagination works. Someone, somewhere, lay down in a bed and fell asleep in the feeling of Neville Goddard being famous. And here we are, millions of people going to bed every night, clutching a mental scene like a child clutching a stuffed animal, hoping the subconscious will do what the conscious mind couldn't. The technique asks one uncomfortable thing of you. You have to decide what you actually want, specifically, vividly. Most people have never done that. They've decided what they don't want. They've decided what seems realistic. They've decided what other people would approve of. Goddard's instruction forces a different kind of honesty. Close your eyes, build the scene that would mean your deepest desire is already done. Now feel it. Most people can't get past that step. The scene reveals too much, so maybe the real power of sleeping in the wish fulfilled has nothing to do with the subconscious, or theta waves, or bridges of incidents. Maybe the power is in the confrontation. Every night, you lie down and face the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You sit inside that gap until it closes, or until you fall asleep trying. Either way, you did something most people avoid their entire lives. You admitted what you wanted, out loud, to no one, in the dark. The bedroom becomes a confession booth, and the only priest is the version of you that doesn't exist yet.